All right. Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. I'm Noah.
And I'm Jesse.
All right, Jesse. So tonight we have a brand new Smarter Challenge.
We do.
Aliens versus the Predators.
That's right.
We went to a brand new restaurant, Korean barbecue.
Yeah.
And we have a great Scotch that we're going to review tonight, I hope. Obviously, I know like the last couple of Scotches that we tried from this particular house, the Macallan.
The Macallan.
Scotch Reviewed.
The Macallan 12-year double cask.
Double cask.
And, you know, I think one thing we both agree on full-heartedly, the Macallan does an amazing job with their packaging. Like, look at that blue.
That blue just pops on the camera. Yeah, it does.
We did the triple cask way back when, and this is a double cask with American and European oak casks.
Ooh, yum.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking forward to this one all week.
The Macallan, right? We've talked about the history a few times on here.
Yeah.
So I would just say, if you want to know the history, just kind of go back to our episode where we talked about, I think our Thanksgiving episode, because this is where we talked a lot about it.
The Macallan, yes, edition number 6.
Third largest selling single malt Scotch, second largest by volume, founded originally in 1824. Originally, the owner or the founder of the Macallan kind of pissed off everyone because most of them were bootleggers and a lot of them didn't want to have to go along with the excise tax or the excise act, to where they basically there was a set tax amount or whatever, and then eventually it changed hands multiple times and stuff like that. And then there's a little bit of a shady history.
Yeah,
there.
they had some downs before they had some more ups.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Once again, you can check that out on our Thanksgiving episode.
Much like the box, the bottle, very handsome. They just do a nice job with that bottle, with the angles, with the weight. And as we talked about, ever since some of their questionable past, they do a nice job with their little holographic factory seal. And like I said, man,
A lot of times that kind of reminds me of like the Italian wines with the DOCG.
Yeah.
The DOC designation on there. They have that little strip that like says, hey, this meets the regs.
You know, another thing is that it reminds me of is whenever you buy some official Formula One or Ferrari apparel, always have one of those too. Maybe it's just on expensive things.
Maybe.
I mean, Broncos jerseys, what, 150, 200 bucks for
Actually,
a good
they
one?
have those too.
Yeah, exactly. NFL, bing.
All right.
Oh,
Maybe we're onto some holograms on nice things.
That's right. All Scotch Hour apparel comes with a hologram. Now you know.
Where are these fine apparels that I can get my hands on one?
Well, I'll have some for a show on a future episode. Italian made. Probably not.
All right. So are we going to try this bad boy here? Or
Yeah,
what?
I'm just, I've been literally dreaming about this for a week. The pressure is so great. I'm like, do I open it? Do I actually open it? Well, let's pop this bad boy open.
Does it not have its normal little tear thing?
It's more complex than that with the Macallan.
It's not
Yeah, that hologram, man. It's hot. You don't have to jack up the entire cap label to get it off. Oh,
I heard that little pop.
yeah. This is fancy.
Seems to have some nice color to it. It's coming out of the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the pour. All right, Jesse. So I guess it's time to review this fine Scotch here. Do you want me to go first, or would you like to go first?
Either way, what do you prefer?
I'll go. How about if I go first,
Let's do this.
and you can
I'll re-pour while you're speaking, so
Yes,
that
you can re-pour
I have a
and
fresh
then, and then you
taste.
can take us home on the review here. Okay, so for me, and this is kind of like where I kind of fall into the same category I did with Lagavulin, where when I drink I love the Lagavulin 16. It's like one of my favorites. But like when I have the Lagavulin 8, it's good on its own. But if I never had the 16, I would never compare it to it. And so therefore, like when I drink the Lagavulin 8, I'm always thinking like it's no Lagavulin 16. In this case, because I had that
This is no
addition-
Christy Brinkley.
and in this case, like this 12, the double cask, it's really good. But I think in my back of my mind, since just a couple of weeks ago, like for our Thanksgiving show, we had the Editions number 6. And I'm like, this is no Editions number 6. The color is not a dark brass like it is on the A6, but it does have a nice like copperish color to it. It's a little bit lighter, but darker than some of the other ones that we've also reviewed recently as well. So I do like the color. I kind of go with the light copperish, but I guess you can kind of say like a amber gold, if you will. For me on the nose, I am getting malt. And this is kind of where I'm not even really sure if that you would find this from the Scotch maker, but when I go down this malt category, it almost kind of reminds me of, you remember like the old like canisters of hot cocoa from Hershey's, and you pop it open,
Malted
and
milk.
Yeah, you just get that initial like
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I kind of get here on the nose a little bit. I do get some dried apricot and some dried fruit. However, this is just if I'm smelling it out of the glass. When I do the test, when you put it in your palm and I smell it, and when I smell it like this, you can't hear me. You can't hear me when I do that. I get more of a floral and vanilla smell to it. When it comes to the palate, I get kind of like some hints of brown sugar, Honey Nut Cheerios, and a slight bit of creaminess to it.
All right.
And then on the finish, it's more of a dry malty with cinnamon and dried fruit flavors. Overall, I'd say the body is pretty medium bodied. There's a couple of spikes here and there in the palate, but it's not so drastic to where it really takes away from it. And as we know, I think as you and I were discussing earlier, I tend to like the scotches that are pretty well balanced with like almost no spikes. This one does have a couple of spikes in it, but it's not super drastic to where it derails from the taste for me. So that's kind of my review there.
All right. Well, when I drink this, and you got to consider price points are always a thing to consider as well. So the Macallan 12 double cask, right around the $60 price point. Some places we've seen it as high as $75, but typically right around $60 to $70 is the price point. 12 years, double cask, American and French. And for me, it's quite a treat for that price point. It is not going to be, it's not in my top 2 favorites, man. But man, it is good. So much like you said, for me, it's got that, I'm going to go with medium amber gold color, which is good. It's interesting. The more I think about color, the less it matters, because some of the best scotches have actually had super light colors. However, traditionally, the less filtered it is, or the smokier or peatier it is, sometimes that's contrary. Again, now with Lagavulin 12, you look at the color of that thing, it's pale in comparison, but I'm betting it's a little more robust. Oh man, the nose on this one. I immediately get just a teeny bit of citrus, but not like the shocking orange. It is almost like a mix between orange and apple and butterscotch. And that it finishes up with, you mentioned a little bit of the floral notes, very mild with the floral notes, but almost like an apple toffee. And when I taste it, I'm tasting those same things, which sometimes when I, really consider the nose or the aroma of a scotch, and then I taste it, it's completely different. Man, when I am tasting this, it is exactly that. It is super smooth to me. Super smooth. Again, it starts right off with just a teeny bit of citrus, followed by a nice body of creamy butterscotch. And then that kind of translates and transfers into, you mentioned Cheerios and malted milk. And I think that's kind of that transition from butterscotch to toffee for me. And then it's got just that little bit of apple, which is delightful to me. Very fresh, clean scotch. This is a clean scotch to drink. This is definitely a gentleman's scotch, I would say. Not one of these rougher versions we've experienced in the past. The finish. One of my favorite things always is oak, and this has that fresh felon, if you want to use the English term felon, a fresher oak flavor in it to me. And you mentioned the spikes. Just for me, it's pretty well balanced. I don't really get the spikes so much. It's just creamy butter toffee.
I guess you could call them more like road bumps and spikes. I mean, because there's other ones.
Speed humps.
Yeah, speed humps. Because there's other scotches that have like the huge spikes. This doesn't have a huge spike. It's just like they're kind of like more like bumps. You can just kind of through the palate from start to finish. There's just a couple little.
I think that freshly felon oak, if you will, young oak is kind of the final taste I get. And again, I dig it. I love oak in wine and in scotch. Because of that, right at the tail of the taste and the body, it dries. It gets very dry to me. It doesn't get sweet. It doesn't linger on forever, but it starts to dry into an anticlimactic finish almost. But a pretty damn good scotch.
I think it's a great scotch. What's the ABV on this one?
Oh,
I think is it 43%?
It is 43. I think they like to stay consistently at that.
All right. Great. Overall, I think this is a great scotch. I think if I was going to bring one to, let's say, I'm just talking about the Macallans from the ones that we've tried, and we've had this one, and roughly around the same price point is the triple cask.
Yeah.
And if I was going to bring one of these two, like the triple cask or the 12-year triple cask versus the double cask, I probably would go with the triple cask if I was bringing it to like Christmas dinner. The triple cask to me just had a little bit more flavor to it. It was just a little bit more smooth.
If I knew my audience well, I would say if they were true Scotch connoisseurs, then I would probably do the same. However, I think there are some delightful things about the palate on this Scotch. And for me, it's really that it's a super creamy butterscotch followed by toffee with a hint of apple, man. Like this is like, it's pretty dang good. Like there's zero complaints here.
So you know what this means, right? This means eventually we're going to have a showdown. Showdown between the double and the triple.
And also the double sherry.
Oh, yeah.
The black box.
Yeah, the black box. We got to do that one, too.
That's right. James Bond, we're coming for you.
That's the 18-year-old. But there's a 12-year-old, too. So, all right. Anything else that we want to mention about this particular before we go on to our shout-outs?
It had me at the box.
It's time for our shout-outs.
Yes, shout-outs. All right. This week, very happy to give my final shout-out of the season for Formula One's Max Verstappen and Honda pulling it off at the last minute. And when I say the last minute, you're talking about a race that's a couple hours long. So you got, roughly 120 minutes. No, we're talking about pulling it out on the last lap of the race, passing the current world champion, Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, everyone on that team is rightfully upset. Nobody wants to be a loser after winning 7 world championships. Actually, 8 if you include Nico Rosberg.
Questionable win.
And there is obviously always going to be drama, but nonetheless, for me, Noah mentions the questionable win, and that's regarding a couple of potential laws within question at the moment. For me, the moment I saw that Lewis Hamilton was absolutely defending Max Verstappen's attempts to pass, that to me meant, you've already given up on any of the safety car rules. You are racing just as much as he is. You might have been better off. You might have had a better chance just keeping the speed limit nice and like 60 miles per hour instead of 180 and letting him by like, hey, why is he passing me? We're supposed to have more time with this safety car. But when you're full on racing and defending, no, Max was brilliant. I want to use the word brilliant in his craft, in his physical dominance, and also it just in his mind game. Max and Honda doing it again for Formula One, taking that championship away from Mercedes. Even if they did overturn it, no one in the world would agree. And you guys, in my mind and heart, have won. And Max,
I cry foul.
When Max was young, he made a lot of unnecessary mistakes in my mind. And this year, he absolutely turned into the man I want to see winning more championships in this Formula One future. So cheers, Max and Honda and the Red Bull Formula One team.
Cheers.
It was a beautiful season. It was the best season I have seen since Nico Rosberg took the championship. And I look forward to many more. Awesome job, Max and Honda. Awesome job. And, I leave Red Bull out of it a lot. That's not intentional. They have some amazing management and talent as far as their engineers and their aerodynamicists. So thank you to all of you. But man, hurrah.
Is that all of them?
That is it for right now, because that was the most moving thing I've experienced in the last week. Because when, for 20 years of my life, I've loved Formula One. And then, with Michael Schumacher's tragedy, I kind of, it was like when you find out Santa Claus isn't real, and it's been hard for me to get fully reinvested, and this kind of did it for me. So Max, I love you, man. I'll put it that way. Not romantically. I appreciate you. That's my love, is you have brought the art back to Formula One.
So I guess my shout out, first of all, I'm going to say, I don't really know anything jack squat about at Formula One. I just know there was a bunch of people crying foul about the win.
I mean,
so regardless, hey, my opinion is whoever comes in first, you're first. If you come in second, you're the first loser. So
if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah, you're not first, you're last. So good job to Verstappen and having a good season there. But my shout out goes to a friend of mine out in Utah. Her name's Christina. She made some homemade
marble cake.
No, not marble cake. But she did make some homemade peach jam, and she sent us a bottle. And along with that, she also sent some these bath salts that kind of I don't know, I think it's more on the metaphysical side to kind of help whatever. And then she knows that I'm of a certain political leaning, so she sent me this rock that was signed by Roger Stone, and it says Roger, and it's on a stone. Roger Stone, very clever, right? So I just want to say thank you to her. I think that was really awesome for her to do that, to send the jam and all that stuff. And actually, I tried to jam this today, and it was right before we went to go for dinner. I'm all right, I'm really curious to see how this tasted, right? And so I tried a little bit of it, and it was so good at little chunks of peach in it. And so, being the humorous self as I am, which if you don't really know me, you probably don't know how humorous I don't really joke around a whole lot, or I can, but I think recently in the last few years I've been a lot more serious. But I texted her "Oh my God, Becky, look at her jam." Just to kind of like play a joke off of that old hip hop song. And I just complimented her on her jam, saying how good it was. It tasted really great. But anyways, I just want to say thank you to Christina for that. And she did a phenomenal job on the jam.
That's just cool. And Christina, you know what? Not any, sorry, I'm handling your stone.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I just got to hold this up myself. Anybody who had anything to do with Reagan is a fan of mine.
Yeah. So, yeah, Roger Stone did work with the Reagan administration. He also worked a little bit with the Trump administration. Well, not the administration, but when, as Trump was going through the election process. And then Roger Stone, if you ever listen or read any of his books, he actually, I think there's a book that you would love by Roger Stone. It's all about being a gentleman and how to tie proper ties and how to dress sharply and all that stuff.
Sounds like I wrote this book.
Yeah, I think you would totally love this. It's I forget, it's something gentleman or something like that.
All right.
But he's written a book about like how to properly wear a suit, how to properly do your pocket square and all that stuff. So yeah, I think that's a book that you would like from Roger Stone. So
That's awesome.
Restaurant Review.
So where do we go, Jesse?
All right, restaurant review. So
Wait, one pause. Where do we go, Jesse? For the restaurant. It's for the restaurant review.
all right. What I'm trying to do is use metaphysical powers to determine the pronunciation of the restaurant. So
How do you know where we? I just know it's a Korean barbecue place.
we're going to go with chilgogi.
Chilgogi?
Chilgogi, Korean barbecue. And it's
How do you pronounce it?
chilgogi.
Chilgogi?
That's what I said.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Oh man. And so if we absolutely butchered, as I undoubtedly did, your name, I sincerely
did even more.
apologize. And all I ask is that please leave in the comments a proper pronunciation, and we will make a future correction after you like and subscribe to our show.
Hint, the only way we're going to make the correction is if you like it and subscribe. Just joking.
Now, that being said, this is literally right next to the sports book, which we enjoy to frequent, particularly because they're tachos. But it's right next to the sports book at, basically Clinton and Arapahoe Road. And we walked in. The outside, the sign's pretty cool. I like the sign. Kind of looks like a, I don't know, like a hairy, armless Bigfoot.
Hairy armless Bigfoot.
But cool sign outside. You walk in, the decor I think was appropriate for any restaurant I thought would absolutely thrive in a high school neighborhood or in a college town. And we walked up, and for me, it was somewhat reminiscent of our high school years when we used to go to a restaurant called Tokyo Bowl. So you get a bowl of rice topped with your choice of meats and sauce. There were some cucumber, some lettuce intermixed, and I had the spicy pork. $13.50 for a bowl with the spicy pork, brown rice. I actually thought it was dynamite. The flavors were all great. I was pleasantly surprised after walking in, not to take anything away from the decor, but when we walked in, I was like, oh no, not again. And then we got the food. The host or waiter, if you will, is the one who recommended the spicy pork. And at first I was like, whoa, how spicy is the spicy pork? Because I've gone down that road before, and I was putting that fire out for days. And nope, he recommended it, said if something wasn't right, he would take care of it. He would make it right. It was right. He didn't have to take care of anything. The young man did a fabulous job, and my food was great. Numerologically, ratings I'll get to in a second, but what did you think about it?
Well, I got the barbecue beef version of it. It was really good. Likewise, as you mentioned, it kind of reminded me of the kind of like Japanese beef bowls where you get the teriyaki beef bowls where you have the teriyaki or the thinly sliced teriyaki beef or chicken on top of rice. And actually, growing up, my dad being half Japanese and half Portuguese, coming from Hawaii, there used to and I think in our younger years, there's a lot more of those kind of like those beef bowl places around. And I've always loved beef bowls. I've always thought they're great. And there's a place out in Utah, which I actually like more than this one, which is called Cup Bop. And it's a Korean type style bowl, kind of like this. But this place was actually really good. The restaurant itself was very clean when you walk in.
Yeah.
So they had it very well kept up. I think probably COVID might have affected it because it wasn't as busy as I would have expected it to be. But it the food was definitely on point. Like the barbecue beef was phenomenal. It came with like a little spicy dipping sauce. Which I liked. It was tasty. It was a little bit it was like on the verge of my spicy level, which is not very high. But he also offered to give me some teriyaki, and so he brought some teriyaki over, and he also brought over the soy sauce and stuff like that. And like yours, it had the I'm not sure if it was lettuce or cabbage in there, and the cucumber and carrots. Along with the brown, I had a choice of white rice or brown rice, and I went with the brown rice option, and it tasted great. I like, the teriyaki sauce. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the homemade teriyaki sauce that I was taught how to make, where it has like that really nice ginger flavor to it, and this had a nice ginger flavor, and I love that. It wasn't like because here before I start tripping over my words too much. When you go to some Japanese restaurants and you get teriyaki chicken or teriyaki beef or whatever, sometimes their teriyaki is very sweet. And it's like overly sugary. This, like I said, was actually, I think it was less on the sweet side and more on the ginger side, which I really like.
The ginger flavor, absolutely. You pointed that out while we were at the restaurant, and when I tried it, literally I went from dipping to pouring that onto my.
That's exactly what I did.
My meat. So,
and to your point too, the wait staff there or the workers there, just kind of like how it was last week when we talked about the chicken shack.
Yeah,
the two employees there, they were generally bought into their company. They had great attitudes. They were super helpful, and you could tell they were just generally in a good mood, and they were happy to be there. And I really appreciate that about their service. I wish I would have gotten their names because I would give them a shout out, but I didn't get their names. But the gentleman, he did a phenomenal job, and the lady coworker there, she was also very nice and polite. But you could tell, I think. The gentleman was probably maybe the manager on duty or something like that, and I think he went the extra mile to make sure
he did.
Our food was the right temperature, right flavors, and all that. So I give him pretty high marks for the type of food and restaurant that it is.
Yeah.
I guess, do we want to do
let's
ratings?
do some rankings. How would you rate it?
Okay, so the decor or ambiance, actually, I think it's just like if you gotta go to like a fast food type of place, higher than like a Wendy's or something like that, but lower than like a sit down place. So I'm gonna give it like a 7. And really, I guess if I'm gonna be truthfully honest here, maybe a 7.5 to almost an 8 because of the cleanliness, because it looked very clean in there. The wait staff, I'm going to give them an 8 because they're super friendly. The food, sometimes I only eat one meal a day. And a lot of times I think with American portions, when you go to most restaurants, if you go to travel to Europe and some other countries, meal portions are much smaller than what you get here in the United States. So usually you can go to a restaurant and have one meal a day, and that's a pretty large meal. I think this was an appropriate size, but maybe if you're going to have one meal for the day, that's probably not the right size. You probably need a little bit more because I will admit I was still a little bit hungry afterwards. But that's just probably my own fault for only having one meal for the day.
Hey, the beer filled us up.
Yeah, so afterwards we went next door to the sports book and grabbed a large beer. So I probably didn't eat all that either. But anyways,
It wasn't that big.
no, it wasn't. Yeah. But I guess the food I'll give it like a 7 because I think it felt like it was healthy enough. It was. I think proportional size was the right amount. So I think overall I'll give it like a 7.5, which I think is pretty good for kind of a fast foodie place.
Yeah.
So that's I think you could, if you're in high school or college, to your point, I think good for a state place. I think it could be even I think if you're like more established in life, maybe not a good first date place, but a good place to maybe go for a quick bite to eat. Or if you're in the dating scene, sometimes they talk. Well, hear me out here. If you're in the dating scene, like in your like mid 20s and 30s,
That's where we're at.
yeah, that's where there's sometimes they talk about like doing like what's called like coffee dates, where you just kind of go there for something like something small. I think this is passable for a quote unquote coffee or get to know type of place to go and meet if you're just doing like a lunch date. But I would not take them as a date for dinner. But like a lunch date or a coffee date type of thing, I think it's workable.
So what you're saying is when we go pick up the chicks and we're just meeting them at the door and they've used all those filters and they're fugly, not just ugly, then this is where we take them for a coffee date. So when they ask where's the coffee, we say,
Sure. I'm just saying it's more of like a lunch date rather than a true like dinner date.
yeah, this is the closest you're going to get to coffee with me, lady. All right, for me.
Actually, I'd probably rather do coffee than that, but whatever. I'm just saying it's okay for a lunch date.
Yeah, dude, caffeine, stimulant. I get it. First date. Get her high. So for me, environment, and this is, really considering some of the things I agree with you, a Taco Bell or a Wendy's would typically be a 5. Very average, very mainstream, nothing outgoing. For me, this place was a 6. And again, it's the decor was pretty simple, nothing I would expect, nothing less than I would expect. I don't expect more, but you got to remember 6 is still better than average. So for me, decor is a 6, super clean, give it props for that. For the service, right up there at an 8, only because I was literally dumbfounded by how far that gentleman went to make sure we had the right sauce, and that teriyaki made the dish even better. I gotta say that's probably some of the best brown rice I've ever had in my life. I was floored by how great this little bowl that was $13.50 was. Now $13.50 today, a year ago, was probably $7. Thank you, Biden inflation. But it was still a great value, especially considering inflation, what that's done to the prices we've experienced as of late. The food, oh man, this is where it gets tricky because you can't go comparing it to a 5-star restaurant.
No, you can't.
But what you can say is what you got for the value it is an 8 for me. It was fun. It was a great place to go with a friend just to get a quick bite, mostly healthy. They do have a nice fountain machine, some different green cheese and other options as far as drinks. I stuck with my general Diet Coke, and it was a great fountain Diet Coke. Sometimes you get bad fountain Diet Coke. Great fountain Diet Coke to go along with the very, I would say, health conscious meal. And I didn't regret any of that. Would I take a first date there? For me, probably not. Would I take a second date there? I don't know. Is it casual? Yes. Is it formal? Most likely not. Like don't go getting dressed up.
But I think
for
you were
this.
in high school.
Yeah, no, this place literally, it was a place I thought, man, if this was down the street from our high school when we went to high school, we'd have been there several times a week.
Exactly.
If I was living in a college town, still going to college,
I'd go there several times a week.
yeah, exactly. And I thought for that, like, 2 thumbs up. It was a great restaurant from those standpoints, but not something where it's like Denver's top 10 for me. However, and you are not going wrong if you're just going out to get a good, healthy, quick bite with a friend.
Smarter challenges.
Aliens, predators, in a real battle, which is the dominant species and why?
Wow, that is such a I'll have a little bit more. I'm assuming you want me to go first, and you'll take us home.
Dude, I can go first. We can go back and forth.
Okay. So here's I guess for me, it's much about like technology and a humanoid type of creature, because like obviously the predator is what is it called, bipedal or something like that, where it's they walk on two legs, they have two arms, they're pretty similar to humans except for the face and stuff like that, but they're highly advanced, so you can tell by their weaponry that they rely on their technology quite a bit. The aliens, to me, they're like ants. And I don't mean like ants in a bad way. I mean like they have like a mother, like the queen ant, or in this case, the queen alien, who drops like a crap ton of like eggs. And then she has a bunch of drones and she can mentally control them because there's some kind of, I'm not sure if it's like through pheromones or how they communicate, but like the queen ant or the queen bug can communicate with the drones. And so I think it really becomes a matter of advanced humanoid technology versus more like nature. And I think if you put them one-on-one, right? If you put like a predator versus one alien, I think the predator will come out on top very easily. But if you get like a queen who's like dropping a crap ton of eggs and they're all hatching and crap, and they have like people to gestate in, and then they're popping out a bunch of aliens, and you have one predator, that dude's screwed. And I think with the predator, they can blow up a planet or at least take one out, and you can pretty much eliminate a colony of aliens, I guess. On the reverse side, I don't think aliens are like intelligent enough to do that in the sense of like taking out a planet and destroying it by like blowing it up and stuff. But I think they can very well overwhelm a planet by overpopulating it and like tearing the crap out of people. So I think it just kind of depends on like what the arena is, what the situation is, and due to that, I think that will determine who would win a battle. And I'm only basing this off of like 2 Alien versus Predator movies, and in both cases, there's more aliens than there were predators, and the predators therefore needed help from a human to help defeat the alien or aliens, because there's more than one.
Yeah,
so,
those things like breed like rabbits.
Exactly. So I think if you're, like I said, one-on-one, I'm giving it to the predator. If we're talking about like if you get a queen laying eggs and you got the little spawny crawly things that are ingesting in people's bodies and stuff, I'm giving it to the aliens if it's just like mano a mano. But if you got like a whole army of predators versus a whole like army of aliens, I think the predators might win if they can take their ship away and just start blowing the crap out of the planet and just leave them there. But if the alien gets on the ship, then they're all screwed.
I mean, that's an interesting. You're not wrong. They might be in trouble. But one of the things that's very interesting to me is when I think about what you're saying, and also the 2 species in particular, the aliens have literally. They're almost like a virus, right? So they go from one planet to another. They're a species. They literally can be bred from other species and adapt to different environments. So they are a rodent. But one thing we know about rodents is typically these things don't go away. You can kill a small amount, but they continue to come back. The predators now are, in my mind, as you mentioned, far more advanced. So terraforming, they're going from planet to planet. They are breeding somehow. I have no idea how, if they're asexual or what that may look like for them. But they are absolutely breeding, and they have gone from galaxy to galaxy, universe to universe at least. And with that, established different communities and different challenges. So they know there's a control and they use their controls in place. You mentioned if they needed to, they could blow up a planet. I think that's all predetermined as far as they've got a bigger plan in case they fail in one particular instance. Now, what really gets crazy to me is thinking about the predators, not so different than some humans, by the way. And I've got nothing against hunting or fishing or any of those fun sports, but the predators are almost going after a nearly impossible task of hunting down and terminating a challenge of aliens from place to place to place, or from one species to another, to be self-crowned or crowned by their own species. But really their goal is to reestablish in different areas and reestablish dominance from universe to universe and galaxy to galaxy. And I think for me is, I think of the little bit, as you mentioned, a little bit of the story. If you think about it, the aliens are the only species that have absolutely thrown them a curveball where they don't automatically always win. And so there have come times where you mentioned if they need to, and they do, they're like, oh yeah, hey man, your boy, he failed down there on Earth. You got to cut out that piece of the planet. Let's start fresh another time, right? And I think you're right. What's wild to me is that these aliens, they don't die. Like, the predators, we know and so when I say aliens don't die, they do die, but by frigid temperatures or insane temperatures, they survive. They're out there in space surviving. Some of it is almost unbelievable, if you will, but the fact that they could be frozen and then thawed out and regenerated, it's much like some of the insects on Earth where, your average spider ain't going to make it to 32 degrees without dying. However, you got brown recluses and other species of spiders that can live at -20 and still
they can live to -20.
Yeah, man.
Those things are nasty.
They are nasty. There are some really nasty insects out there.
There are no brown recluses in Colorado.
Oh yeah. We're one of their like high grounds.
Oh, I knew they were in Utah. I didn't think they were in Colorado.
No, they're in Colorado too, and they're teeny. Like teeny little bugs, tons of poison. They leave you alone unless you go messing with them. So just don't mess with spiders. You're probably good.
I hate spiders.
Right. And so with aliens, to me, it's interesting because you mentioned insects, and they are absolutely much like insects. There is a mother laying eggs, and much like spiders or other insects, the mother's going around picking up other bugs and stuff. So in this case, humans, and planting them with the egg, or in this case, the egg erupts and out comes a little nightmarish spider with a tail and embeds its egg down your throat into your esophagus
and have the alien like spread out of your chest.
It's pretty wild. But not so different than any other of the dominant insects on the planet. You got to consider these bugs were probably here before we were here.
I think if you really want to consider it, I think if the bugs were intelligent enough and they could all combine together, they could definitely wipe out humanity.
Where it does get tricky is, and I think that the storyline for me very much does copy humans versus the rest of nature's animals. At the end of the day, should there really be a challenge by us, they go extinct. But that doesn't mean it was easy. That doesn't mean we have our own fatalities. But in the long game, if we were terraforming and if we were going from planet to planet to try to expand our own footprint, that we would also be smart enough to know, hey, bruh, you just took over the wrong planet. All the colonists, they're done. Aliens done took them over. You got to get rid of that planet. And that's exactly what would be done.
So, what I was about to ask you, you made a point that I wanted to ask you about, and I totally spaced it out.
Was it insects? Because another great example is, we got space bugs in...
Space bugs?
Yeah, man, space bugs,
Are you talking about Starship Troopers?
Yeah, space bugs. Those things are giant, though. They're not the little guys we face. We go and step on them. They come and step on us. Come join.
A good bug is a dead bug, squish.
Yeah, I mean, it's real, though. It's one of those things where you change just that field where the technology versus size. Right now, we don't know an opponent like that. We don't know an alien. We are the predators. We do know bigger animals, tigers, lions, and bears. Oh, my. But the difference is we've got guns. We've got technology that we use. You reverse that and you have bugs that are 10 times our size. It's going to be a whole different game.
Yes, it would be. And here's the thing. That they at least have some kind of intelligence. And it's not just purely survival or anything like that. There's some kind of communication that happens between them to where they can direct themselves as a group. And even as if you look at ants, for example, or even bees, they can swarm together and they can definitely take out a human. We're definitely bigger than they are, stronger than they are. We're more advanced technology wise than they are, but on an overwhelming basis where they overwhelm you, they can definitely take out a human on a 1-to-1 battle. But technology wise, I guess if we were to throw in our technology with bug sprays and all other kinds of stuff, we don't necessarily wipe them out, but we can't put them at bay.
I thought you were going to mention 5G towers. Bug, you're dead.
Well, I guess if we want to talk about 5G, we could. I mean, that does kill, not only does it kill plants and animals, but it also harms humans by disrupting the natural frequency in our bodies. But we won't go there. Yeah. That's a conspiracy theory anyways.
All right. No COVID for you.
That's a whole nother conspiracy theory that if you look at the 5G symptoms, a lot of those symptoms are similar to COVID. And one of the very first places that had 5G fully capable was Wuhan. And a certain virus came out of Wuhan originally.
Oh, what?
I don't know. Just saying.
I mean, you guys can do the research.
So, I don't know. So who do you think ultimately wins here?
So for me, ultimately, it is the predators. But I think there's also this ultimate trying situation where they almost hunt the livestock to death. Something that we have done with so many different animals that have become near instinct, or in fact have become instinct, because if that is your one mission in life, that's really the problem, is that you hunt everything until it's gone and then you got nothing to eat. But I think that's the fun part about aliens being their greatest adversary is these things breed like crazy. They thought they have been able to put them from time to time, or planet to planet, galaxy to galaxy, in different areas, particularly on Earth in the different pyramids. And yet all of a sudden they've had to create bombs and eliminate the aliens and anything else that might be considered a livestock. Because let's face it, we know these aliens don't just inseminate, if you will, humans, but can do it to other species. And with that, one of the amazing pieces of technology with the predators is when they set off their bombs, they don't necessarily destroy everything that is non-biological around. There are still structures and other things that are left, unlike an atomic bomb that we have used that absolutely floors everything.
Okay.
So super advanced technology, another form of technology that does a different sort of damage.
So I think ultimately I'm going to go with a toss-up. And the only reason why I'm saying it's a toss-up is because I think it's based on situational battlefields and different combat zones. Because if it's like I said, if it's just one-on-one, definitely think Predator. If it's one with multiple aliens and no help, I think the aliens could overwhelm them or her. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure what sex the predators are, but whatever. But I think they would be overwhelmed if it's if the aliens can start mass producing and popping a lot of eggs. Ultimately, I think as long as one doesn't get onto a ship, they can blow up a planet, just like you said. But yet they seem to pop up in other planets too. So they obviously get onto some ships and move around places. So I think it just has to do with situational battles, whether or not who would win. I think there's a greater chance, and with how the aliens spread, that ultimately they could probably survive longer than the predators. But I think depending on how you fight the battles, the predators could come out on top.
Man, aliens are like weeds. They just spread like crazy. Literally. No, you're not wrong. I fully agree. They spread like weeds. But consider this. So you've got, at this point, I think, in my mind, the predators seem like the ultimate question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, it doesn't matter. The predator may have been the chicken or the egg, but he came first. And with that, he established technology and a structure of locations, not just one, so that there are multiple areas. Then there's also this whole hunting structure, which we've seen that's real in many different ways. I think a good example of that is the Spartans were all sent on, and you could even say that for Mormons, they're all sent on a mission, to accomplish before they come back and then become a solid piece of the community and the structure of that community. With those missions, as it comes with the predators, they are out to hunt and kill and prove themselves, and then they're allowed to come back. Going back to the Spartans, the difference between the Spartans and others was structure. I think the difference between predators and others isn't just structure or intelligence, but it's also they're already established. So they're on so many planets in multiple universes, possibly multiple galaxies, that should an alien land on one of their ships and be taken home, first of all, let's just consider they probably have a ship that can tell if there's something attached to it on the outside. Pretty advanced technology here. But even if it couldn't, it gets back onto this next planet. If it does start to go wrong, one of their sister planets or brother planets blows them up, like Alien terminated. It's problem solved, or that piece of it. Then the other thing is like, we know how aliens reproduce. How do predators reproduce? What's their reproductive rate?
I have no idea.
That's my biggest question.
But I think they must have families, because I believe, and I just get a sense for this. I don't remember it ever saying it in the movies, but in the Alien versus Predator, it looks like either the guy at the near the end, because the one predator who gets helped out by the black lady, he died. That predator dies, and I think that predator might have been the son to the head of the predator that was on the ship, or maybe it might have been a chieftain to a lower one. But it just seemed like there was a little bit more of a relationship there than a chieftain to a low level Indian or type of thing,
Fully agree.
So I think that was a son father thing there.
Fully agree. And fun fact, you know who that father alien was?
Uh-uh.
John effing Travolta, dude.
Are you serious?
Yes. No joke. So when the first time I watched it, I looked into it because I watched it and I'm like, hey man, that guy, like the way he turned, it reminded me of John Travolta in Face Off and many other roles. So I looked into it. Go check out the credits, man. It's crazy. Like, how much did John Travolta get paid to be like, here's a spear, peace. I'm out. Face Off, great movie, by the way. Jeez,
That is. I
Louise.
want to see his face.
It's still referenced in other movies. That's when you know you've made an impact
Yes.
with a movie. John Woo did a great job directing that. Man, A+. But so really, I guess for me, assuming the predators have a reproductive rate that exceeds the rate at which they're dying, they can continue to dominate the aliens. That would be my one question that I would need to answer it. But I'm assuming that already because they've already moved from planet to planet, universe to universe, possibly galaxy to galaxy. And with that, they have become the dominant species in my mind. They win.
Okay. I mean, like I said, I'm kind of in a toss-up area. I'll go either way on this one. So all right, cool. Anything else you want to cover on this particular subject here?
No, I think that the truth of the matter is predators will, and the aliens, in fact, are a predator, but the predators hunt for game versus
Survival?
just drive. The aliens don't need to do that. They're just driven to do it. They're literally trying to terminate everything. It's almost the aliens' undoing in the end is that even if they did totally overrun a planet, then what?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Like, it's over. Game over. Good job. You overran a planet. You are the plague. You are a virus. You killed everything else. Now, unless some other planet collides or somebody's foolish enough to land on that planet, you're done. Like, you go nowhere.
Talking about them being a virus, though, right? That kind of almost brings into the whole original movie. Did you take that at Smoky Hill? I can't remember if you're in the same class I was in. That film class where we broke down the Alien movie and stuff like that, and how super sexual, dark sexual it was, and all that stuff. All right. But okay. It is a Ridley Scott movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think when you started talking about all that, I think there's a whole lot that you could really dive super deep into that movie, and the whole going with the Prometheus and all that stuff, and how they are a virus, or dark side.
They were intended to infect.
Yeah. So I think we could probably pick that up like maybe another time for another subject matter. So unless I don't really have anything else to say on this one, like I said, I'm just gonna leave it as a toss up.
Dude, you're like tossing the coin, and I'm like, no, predators all the way.
Yeah, you can say predators all the way. I'm just gonna say I think it's just situational based on who I would lay my bet on.
All right. Now, for the viewers out there, let us know what you think. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? We do want to know.
Yeah, who do you guys think would win? Aliens or the predators? Is it a situational battle, or will the predators always come out on top type of thing?
Predators always come out on top.
So, anything else there?
That's it.
All right, so my smarter challenge is just going to be based upon one movie. I think it has I think there's a lot you could break down with it. Break down with this movie, but it's going to be on the 12 Monkeys.
Ooh, a little Brad Pitt action.
Yeah, Bruce Willis or
Bruce
Brad Pitt.
Willis, man.
And Brad Pitt.
Bruce Willis is a badass.
Yeah. You know another good movie to probably break down at
Die
some time?
Hard?
No. Die Hard would be a good one. That's not the one I was thinking of. I was thinking about Fight Club.
Yeah, Fight Club, The Great Lebowski. There's a lot of great options in our future.
But I think 12 Monkeys would be interesting. I think there's some things that go on with the 12 Monkeys that could relate to what we're viewing today, and there might be some like parallels there, and I think it'd just be kind of fun to kind of break that movie down and just take like some thought process about like how that movie, whatever route we want to go with that movie.
You mentioned
Because you have like you have time travel in there, you have a virus in there, you have all kinds of things going on. What were you about to say?
I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name either, but Chuck Palahniuk.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I said. The guy who wrote Fight Club actually is a pretty good author. He's written some other really interesting pieces of work as well. And it is super interesting. Fight Club in itself is particularly interesting, though, because it's not. We're not talking about that tonight. It's a future Smarter challenge, but it's deep.
It's a super deep movie.
Yeah,
because you're talking about like different personalities and then materialism versus other things. And yeah, I think it's a great movie. It's another great one to analyze and kind of discuss.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the Smarter Challenge. We're going to talk about
12 Monkeys. All right, Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt,
and whatever route we want to take with that.
The future, and how it applies to right now.
You can do it that way, or however you can look at the time travel aspect to it, because I think if you on the internet they have sometimes they talk about like the pictures where they show like time travelers and like in these old black and white pictures and stuff like that. So I don't know, who knows? Maybe it's possible, maybe it's not. But we could talk about all that aspect, virus aspect. Talk about how like there was the smallpox that was found in Philadelphia. And oddly enough, 12 Monkeys took place in Philadelphia.
Huh.
I don't know. Just saying, there's some crazy stuff out there.
Some smart authors using some little bit of random pieces too.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right. So anything you want to say to the peeps before we go?
Do not drink and drive. Please drink responsibly. Remember, life is great. This is a great Macallan 12 double cask. For me, man, this is a dessert scotch. This is one that goes great with any of those desserts we love. Don't hesitate to bring it to a party. Now, for me, it's not my top 3, but it's still a great scotch.
Very good. Anything to the people?
No, just remember, life is great.
Life is great. All right. Well, if that's it, then I'm going to say thank you for watching us. We greatly appreciate your support. And please let us know about your thoughts about aliens versus predators. Let us know about any topics. Drop some information there in the comments. We'll be more than happy to respond to you. We are on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Podbean, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, and Audible Podcasts. And also, I guess one last thing. We are looking at a possibility. We probably should announce it now if we're going to do it. Are we doing anything for the Matrix?
We got to do something. We got to figure out a timeline.
Okay, so stay tuned. We'll probably be doing some kind of Matrix special, possibly. And we'll probably reach out to maybe some of our past guest hosts and see if we can't do like a party type thing, because I believe we can watch it on HBO Max or something like that, and kind of do just like a round robin talk show as we watch it live or something like that. We thought about doing a whole theater thing, but with all the craziness going on, we're not really sure if that's really feasible at this point. But
new restrictions with COVID going back and forth and complicating a lot.
Exactly. And so if you do like our content, and if you want to become a patron, you could be you can take the very first link in the comments area and become a patron for as low as $1 a month. If you know us and you want to give us a Christmas gift, you could do that as a Christmas gift for us. That's only $12 for the whole year, right?
And we'll thank you every month.
Yes, and we will thank you every month. And that does help go to our equipment to improve all of that. And with all that, I just want to say thank you again for your support, and come join us again next week at the same Scotch time, same Scotch hour. Cheers.
Cheers.
We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a Patron member, with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.